Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Will Wareham. I'm coming to you today from the Golf Clubhouse on Spring Island. We're joined today by Carl Oland, who is a nature ecologist with the Spring Island Trust, Pam Brickell, who's the arts program director here with the Spring Island Club, and John Strother, who's the broker in charge with Spring Island Real Estate. So stick around for more 843 TV, where communities come to speak.
843 TV, where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Beaufort comes to speak.
.843 TV,
where communities come to speak. Welcome to 843 TV. We're now joined by Carl Oland, who is a landscape ecologist here with the Spring Island Trust. Carl, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, you know, one of the first things I noticed when driving through here is how much you embrace nature and what it looks like native landscapes and native plants. Why is it important to landscape with native plants?
Well, because those plants are adapted to our local conditions. So as far as pests and the amount of rainfall and water they get, and they don't need as much fertilizer and that sort of thing. And also because they're important to the local wildlife.
Right.
The wildlife uses those native plants for food and shelter and things like that. So that's an important connection.
And how do you execute that here on Spring Island?
Well, we actually, certain parts of the properties, the residential properties, we require native plants. Not the entire property, but so we require that so that those residential areas look just like the natural preserve areas. And just as importantly, we don't allow the planting of non-natives that can become invasive.
Okay, so you don't allow it?
That's right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, is it true that native landscapes don't require management?
Well, no. Actually, there's any kind of landscape, but there's a natural process called succession where plant communities change over time. It's a very dynamic system. So if you don't do anything, you could end up with a very wild, very overgrown condition.
Sure.
You know? So yeah, you do need to manage those, and that's a very important aspect of what we do here.
Okay. Okay. And then, you know, as you're driving by, you know, as we're coming to the club, I passed a number of nature preserves and gardens and stuff. And one of those gardens is called the Trillium Garden. Can you tell us more about the Trillium Garden?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a very unique area on the island that has a great concentration of plants kind of rare to a sea island like Spring Island is. Has a lot of trillium, Madamasco lily, bloodroot, mayapple, things you might consider more upstate plants. But these areas have been somewhat protected over history from agriculture and from, you know, hard management, fire, things like that. So they're managed a little differently than some of the other areas and have become very special. We call it a garden, but we didn't design it.
Okay.
It was divinely designed,
Really?
I guess you'd say.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful place, and it's been a great place for a lot of the artists and so forth to have appreciation for. We've developed a guided tour through it, signage and brochures for it, and there's some great artwork in those. Actually, that was done by Pam. Who's
Yes, it was a great project. It was
cool.
Thrilling to be a part of it, and you do stop there because the trillium are blooming now, and it's just gorgeous.
So the trillium is a plant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a small plant, and as the name would imply, trillium, all the parts of it are in threes.
Okay.
The leaves are threes, the petals, the bracts, everything is threes. And it's a beautiful color, and about maybe 6 inches tall. They're fairly small, but just blankets the forest floor.
Wow.
And this time of year, there are no leaves on the trees. They're deciduous trees there, so the sun is able to get down to the ground and sort of wake them up a little earlier.
Cool. cool. Yeah. So I also noticed that it looked like there may have been a fire in the nature preserves. Was that on purpose? Was that?
Yes, yes. I endeavor that all of our fires are intentional here if they are done in the preserves, and we manage. I talked about the succession earlier and about how the systems are very dynamic, the plant system. So this fire that we put through there, a prescribed fire, actually stops that process at a certain stage and creates an understory with a lot of diversity, a lot of herbaceous grasses, flowering plants, things like that. We don't do that in all the areas. Like I said, the Trillium Garden isn't burned, but we do that in a lot of particularly pine forests and pine savanna areas, and that's one of the systems that most of our rare species come from, because in other areas throughout the state they aren't allowed to be burned and aren't able to burn them, so we lose a lot of species by doing that.
Huh. Okay. And then is it true that the fire came close to the golf course?
Well, and again, fortunately, that was intentional.
Okay.
The golf course recently was renovated, and they incorporated a lot of our native plants and native grasses. And the whole concept, unlike many golf courses with this one, is that it's like playing through a nature preserve.
Yeah.
So when we manage the nature preserve next to the golf course, we take the management right up to the edge of the turf.
Okay.
So yeah, the fire did come up close, but it was intentional.
And all that's intentional.
Jay took me out there, the golf course superintendent, and he was telling me about how he collects seeds from the plants and propagates them and then puts them back out. I mean,
absolutely.
I've never heard of the golf superintendent doing it. They pretty much live on
Carl
both
trains
sides.
them well.
No,
Sorry,
he does.
Jay.
And we actually have a program where we work with him on that, but we have a native plant program where we collect seed and plants and propagate, have a greenhouse and nursery, and a lot of things we grow we actually do put back out on the golf course, as well as in people's residential landscaping. So it's fantastic. I mean,
it is. It's the most natural looking golf course I think I've ever been on, and it's just amazing out there what y'all have done.
And hopefully interesting to play as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Carl, for joining us today and informing us a little bit more about all the incredible landscape, architecture, and native plants here on Spring Island.
Thank you very much.
So stick around for another segment of 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV. We're now joined by Pam Brickell, who is the Arts Program Director here with the Spring Island Club. Pam, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Arts Program here on Spring Island?
Yes, it's going into its 26th year. It was the dream of Betsy Chafin. She's the wife of Jim Chafin, and Chafin and Light developed Spring Island.
Okay.
And it was her dream to have artists connect with nature, and it just blossomed from there. We had a great visiting artists program where artists would come and spend a week, get inspired, and then they would donate a piece back to the trust from their visit here. So it really worked out. And then we started having workshops, and it's just grown. It's really, the program just took off, and used to be with the trust, but it's now an amenity of the club. So it's really growing.
Pam, how do they decide what artists to invite for the workshop?
Oh. We have a lot of members that travel, and they will run into artists that pique their interest, and they will recommend their artist. We have some artists that have found out about Spring Island's program over the years, and they will contact me directly. And then I hunt around too, because I see everyone working and what their interests are, so I will search out different artists to get them here for workshops. And we have a selection committee. That meets a couple times a year, and we go over all the portfolios of the artists. And for the workshop artists, we make sure that they're great teachers, because some artists can really paint, but expressing that and helping someone also learn to paint doesn't work sometimes. Right. So we have to make sure we have good teachers. And the visiting artists, they have quite a strict criteria that we're looking for. We want to make sure that they are really involved in their art and have the background that tells us that, yes, this is their profession, this is what they want to do, and their art just speaks about that.
Sure.
I don't know. So that's pretty much that.
Could you, you know, the thing that really impresses me about Spring Island is people will come here and they've never really been involved with art at all. And you have so many workshops. I mean, artist development workshops, I guess they're called. Can you explain how those work? I mean, that just to me seems like the neatest thing.
It is fun. It is fun. I work hard to promote members to take a workshop. We have, it started with our creative groups too that nurture each medium. We have photography, ceramics, painting, and now metalworking. And if anyone's ever had an interest in any of those mediums, they seek out the creative groups, and it's a nurturing situation. And they also help us decide what workshop teachers they want to study with. And it's really involved involvement with members, and it just works really well to have them tell me what they want, and then I can go find it for them.
So you have members teaching members.
Yes, we have, every other year we have a member teaching member program, and that is those that are members that are really skilled in what they do will hold a mini 3-hour workshop. So folks that have never tried that medium can see if they really even like it, and that will encourage them to take a workshop. And then on the off years, we have the artist showcase, where members literally showcase their work in the art barn for all to see, and the talent is just incredible. It's fun. I mean, everyone always has in the back of their mind, well, I'm going to put this in the artist showcase. And it just, that also builds workshop participation.
Sure.
It's fun. It's like you've had to put your want and need to create on hold because you've been busy all your life, and now's the time to let loose.
Right.
And I'm very big in charge of letting loose and having some fun.
Sounds like a fun job.
Yeah, oh, it's great. It is
Spring
really
Island's
great.
a pretty inspiring place to be as far as an artist.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is. It is. And the art program has such a sense of community to it. I mean, you'll meet members that you may not have, if you're not a golfer, and that way, it's just another way to connect with folks.
Absolutely, another avenue for social engagement.
Yes.
Is there a performing arts program here?
There is a tremendous performing arts. That also has been with the island since, I think, pretty much inception.
Yeah.
And our current chair for that has some great contacts. And last Sunday we had a classical concert, and that was just outstanding. And this coming up, the end of February, we have the Phantom of the Opera ladies that have actually played on Broadway. Oh, wow. Each has played a role of Christine Day, and they will be here. It's just amazing to me.
So you have visiting artists come and perform, and then are members actually putting on any performances?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But every now and then I hear that they'll just get up and. I think JJ does, doesn't he? He gets and plays his music stuff. But we have quite a few musicians on the island that we're hoping they can get together and jam.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it sounds like that this is just an avenue for residents and members to really, it's an avenue for social engagement. And then, what are some of the other benefits of the arts program, you think?
Really a sense of place, because when they're creating, they're going to be out on the island. They're going to be getting that inspiration, and there's a lot of self-fulfillment with the arts, and it's just fun. I mean, the ability to just have at it and just find out the creative process that you've been harboring all inside. And I don't care. I've come across so many members that say, "Oh, I can't do anything," and then they leave with these wonderful pieces. Like, see, it was there.
Well, another outstanding amenity here for residents and members of Spring Island. Pam, thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you.
Stick around for one more segment of 843 TV. welcome back to 843 TV. I'm now joined by John Strother, who's the broker in charge at Spring Island Real Estate. John, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Happy New Year. It's 2016.
Yeah, a nice cold February day.
It is, yeah. Tell us about last year, 2015. How were real estate sales on Spring Island 2015?
Sales, we had a great year. We're very fortunate. These shows were a great help to us.
Good.
People watched them from afar, and then when they came down, they felt like they were acquainted with Spring Island. So we really appreciate all the support y'all have given us.
Absolutely.
We had about 40 sales last year.
Okay.
That was more sales than we've had in maybe 15 or 20 years here.
Really?
And we're very fortunate. I mean, the market was right. Our pricing was right. People are ready to buy. We're going through a change in membership now. Younger people are coming in, new members. There's a lot of excitement here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many, like in general, how many home sites do you think are available or here on Spring Island?
Well, there are 400 total sites here.
Okay.
We've had 260 homes that are built.
Okay.
And so we sold 20 homes last year, and then we have 140 home sites that are empty.
Okay.
And we sold 20 of those last year. So we've raised our construction level up to, there are about 10 homes that are going through the review process or under construction. And they range from a 500 square foot guest house to a 12,000 square foot estate compound on an 8-acre lot here. So a lot of variety, a lot of excitement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, have you listed any good home sites lately here on Spring Island?
Yes, I have. I have. I just did one down in this really unusual home site in Pinckney Point, which is adjoins Walker Landing, where we have the fitness center and the River Club and the post office. And it was, I thought it was a small site initially, so I went down there. It was a very narrow opening. I thought, well, this is going to be tough. And so I went down in through there, and all of a sudden it just flared out, and it's really an acre lot. It's beautiful. It's kind of southeast exposure, so you catch the morning sun, which is really nice. And it's got a tidal creek on the left side, so you have these oaks draped out over that, and the nice gnarly shapes, and then over the marsh, it's a peninsula type lot, and with a lot of great oaks and palmetto trees. So it really just breathes the low country there, and the sun coming up. And I was walking out, and I started seeing all these big camellias and azaleas in there. I'm like, wow, what's going on here? And it turns out that this was part of the walkway that the walkers who owned this in the 60s used, where they would disembark from the ferry at Walker Landing and walk up to their home. And so they have these 12-foot azaleas, huge camellias that are starting to bloom now, here in February, and it's just beautiful. I just love this site.
So this is one with no home built on it, right? You're going to build your own house.
You can build your own dream home there.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you all work with people who are interested in buying home sites to help them find a developer? I mean, how involved are you all with that? Well,
we're involved every step of the way. I mean, we're their resource. So they come, we're trained in prevailing wind, sun angles and things like that to be able to describe what people could build there, get them connected with architects, various architects that might suit their personality or the style of home that they would want, and then the builders. So we're here to, that's the advantage to using Spring Island Real Estate, is we're here to help them every step of the way.
Very good.
So it's a fantastic process.
Very good. Okay. Now, I understand that you've just listed a fantastic home on Spring Island Drive. The address is 202 Spring Island Drive. Can you tell us a little bit about that property?
Wow, this one. This is an amazing house. I mean, we have some really amazing homes here on Spring Island, but this one, I walked into this, and it's funny, I went into this home right after it was built in 2000, and I was doing some business with a couple that built it. It's the most incredible house. It was designed by Jerry Coward, an architect in Savannah. Okay. And he describes it, I have to read this, as it flows like events in a river. One area rapids, the next waterfalls with surprising coves along the way, linear pearls strung together, long and sleek, bending like the turns of the river. The home is only one room deep throughout in a very handsome elevation. It's on 2 marshfront lots. There's about 600 feet of marshfront. The home itself is 140 yards long. And it does. It just weaves in and out of these trees. Every room has a view of the marsh at a different angle. It's just amazing. But you look at it, it doesn't look that big.
Right.
And so it's just a masterful design of classic architecture. What it is, you walk in and it looks like a low house. You walk in, it's a 30-foot elevation in the living room. It's post and beam. You're literally in a cathedral. And the fireplace is over here to the left, and it looks like a normal-sized fireplace until you walk up to it, and you can walk in that fireplace, or at least I can because I'm short. But it doesn't look oversized or out of place. It's in scale with the house. And if you go left, you wind down a hallway to an office, beautiful office with beautiful views. A little farther, there are 2 guest rooms down there with porches overlooking the marshes and this natural environment out there. Come back into the living room, you travel down to the kitchen, family room, and in the family room they have this huge tabby fireplace. It took 3 months to build. They built it the old way with forms, stacking the forms up through there. It's the most unusual fireplace I've ever seen. Once again, huge. Travel a little farther down, there's the master suite with an office for her, with a fireplace in that. A little farther down, and there's a guest room, or the garage with a guest suite over there. There's maybe 2,000 or 3,000 square feet. It's truly one of the most fantastic houses on Spring Island.
Wow. Well, for more information about that home and available home sites and available homes, give John a call. Visit them on their website, Spring Island Real Estate. They're going to set you up. This is an amazing place to be. John, thank you very much for joining us today.
I appreciate it.
And thank you for watching 843 TV, where communities come to speak.